It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and the reason I'm awake is TDS. Not for me. Oh, this is actually stressful. This is not a lottery system. It's just entry opens at 1 a.m. Australian time. Go nuts. The internet's freaking out. Says away at the moment with her kids. Also up, trying to do it on her phone. You're in TDS, mate.
I don't know.
You check your email. We did it. I'm going back to bed. Oh, that's hot. That's far too hot. You see, I am wet. I went no shirt too, which is not something I usually do. I don't particularly enjoy it, but I called for it today. Just went out and decided it was the day where I was going to start actually working a bit. I just did 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off on this big climb up the escarpment, and I'm cooked. Ah, boy. I was on the back foot already too, being up 1 a.m. last night. The excitement of TDS, found it hard to get back to sleep, and then that was on top of 8 hours of hard manual labour yesterday, shoveling dirt and cement, and I'll show you actually. You want to see this, trust me, it's good. I'm proud. See? We did that. It used to be grass, and we dug it up, dug a hole, and then filled it in. This is amazing content. This is what everyone wants to see. We'll put a fire pit there. It's gonna be good. Be nice. I'm pooped. I'm pooped. All this to say, I'm pooped. That's at the upper limit of my bicycling ability at the moment. It's Australia Day, and Lockie dragged me out for, I think we were out for about 5.5 hours. It was good, don't get me wrong, that was a lot of fun, but that's me done for the day. Whew.
Or better predictor of performance is exactly to understand rudder rate from a calorimetric perspective, how much, or from a distance, power, whatever, kilojoules distance perspective, but maximum sustainable energy expenditure, understanding actually how we can even advance this, because this is something that humanity have tried to understand for decades, and that is, what are the limits to performance? We have said VO2 max and threshold and all these kind of things, but in reality it's like exactly like you also pinpoint. Yeah, but you see some people.
It's Sunday afternoon now, and I'm still wrecked. I've run a bit in the second half of this week, but ever since that ride with Lockie, I just felt flogged, and I think I know why. Now you might be thinking, you idiot, it's conditioning, and look, you're probably right. I haven't done any riding in the past 18 months, and jump back on the bike and trying to keep up with Lockie, who is genuinely one of the best in the world. Yeah, it'd be foolish of me to think that I'm not going to pay the price there a little bit. But it's the conversations that I was having with Lockie, which has got the old brain space ruminating on nutrition a little bit. Now, for the past few races, I've fueled nearly exclusively with Morton. And look, that's been working fine, and I have no plans to change that. But in talking with Lockie, it made me realize that perhaps I'm not eating enough. Now, combine that with chatting with Sarah, and her coach is starting to give specific direction to her about the quantity of carbohydrates she should be intaking per hour of running. And look, it's a lot. The advice for Sarah is 90 grams, which is kind of what I read to be the gold standard for what you can consume while trying to complete one of these ultra events. But in chatting with Lockie, he seems to suggest that at the top level of cycling, at least, they're required to be consuming at least 120 grams of carbohydrate per hour. And look, some of the best guys are upwards of 150 grams. So I think for me, that means I didn't eat enough on my ride with Lockie. Trying to eat while you're mountain biking is difficult. Your hands are always full and occupied with not trying to crash. But during that ride, I had 2 drink bottles of the 320 Morton mix, a Cliff Bar, and a gel. That's not enough. The other thing Lockie suggested is that I check out some of the stuff from Olav Alexander Boo. Now, I had no idea who this guy was, but he's the Norwegian head triathlete coach, and I knew nothing about it, but those guys are absolutely dominating the sport at the moment. So I've done a bit of a deep dive on YouTube and on Spotify, and the guy's a freak. He also has quite a bit to say about fueling, and again, it's just reinforced this idea in my mind that I should be eating more for these long runs. I also watched Jim Walmsley's UTMB video this week, and look, while that guy runs at a level that I don't even dream of running at, it seems like he didn't have the greatest race by his standards. And at least where my head has been at this week with fueling, I don't think he ate very well. It seems like he was running real good, and then he stopped eating and he didn't run so good anymore. I'm sure I'm oversimplifying things, and how his race went is far more intricate than that. But for me, at least, I have a renewed focus on how much I eat, both during training and after. I've always tried to eat a fairly unrestricted but balanced diet, listening to my body and just choosing not to obsess over food. However, I think I will benefit from a little more intentionality to what I'm putting into my body. I only managed to run 66 kilometers. However, in the bigger picture of putting in an extra 7 or 8 hours of riding and another 8 hours of hard manual labor in the week, I start to understand why I'm feeling pretty flat right now. The weather isn't great, and so having an extra day off, I'm okay with. But that's pretty much all I got this week. Next weekend, Sarah and I are heading away for a little adventure, so I'm sure I'll make a video about that. But until then, one foot in front of the other. Eat more. Catch up.